Wow, I love seeing you up on your feet. I love the energy in the room. You probably want to grab this. There you go. All right. So let's keep that energy going, because the man who I'm introducing next has become a personal inspiration for me. Someone who I've seen in action this weekend and am just blown away by. He is the CEO of United Independence, and he is the founder and executive producer of the Independent National Convention, which we have all made possible. Folks, put your hands together for Mr. Christopher Life! Love you, bro. Thanks, man.
This is that moment where we close it down, right? Just 2 days ago, we entered into beginning INC 24 Denver. Make some noise about the experience that you've had in the last 48 hours here. And now let's hear some words. What are some words that describe how you feel right now? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for allowing us to inspire you. Thank you to all of the national leaders of the U.S. independent movement who came to share their perspectives and their expertise that have allowed us to begin to stitch together a more coherent vision of what it means for us to rise as a truly united, independent movement in this country. I recognize that we have about 200 to 300 people in this room right now, but it just so happens that people that are in this room represent heads of organizations, funders, partners, influencers. I am certain that with the people that are in this room, we have everything we need to launch a united, independent movement in this country. And why do I keep talking about a united, independent movement, right? It's because now is a moment in time, a choice point, a fulcrum point. I believe that the choice that we make right now will not only determine the future of our country, but will determine the future of our world. And that choice, as we all know, is to declare independence from the existing political system, the Republican and Democrat corporate duopoly political system of control, and begin a new era in this country, reinstating the ideals and principles of governance of, by, and for the people, in sacred service to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all. So that's the opportunity that we have available to us. And Andrew just spoke very well about the Forward Party and how that can be a very powerful platform to be able to develop and accelerate this process of political change. And I had conversations backstage with Lieutenant Governor Carrie Healy and Forward CEO Lindsey Drath. And the conversation that we had is that Forward Party is not enough. Because Forward Party is a party, and there are other parties, the Libertarian Party and the Green Party, and many other parties. And what we need to do right now is move beyond competition within any one independent political party. And we need to move into a greater order and commitment of unification. And that's why I talk about the united independent movement, because it creates a context that's greater and more powerful than any one party. It creates a context for the powerful and important independent parties to work together and collaborate to make sure that the future elected officials in this country are moving outside of the Republican and Democratic parties. And that can only happen through movement-level coordination. I want to tell you about something that happened earlier this evening. Who was in the room for our 5 o'clock private session? Can I hear you? Raise the hand. Yeah. So we had a conversation representing many different parties and representing many different leaders of this emerging independent space. And we discussed how, in order for us to be able to make this change, we must all work together beyond any particular party line as a national independent movement. And we discussed that we have an opportunity in this upcoming 2026 election cycle to be able to set a very clear goal, right? Andrew talked about how if we created a nomination process, then we could be able to work together to identify the right independent candidate and get that person into office as president. 2024 election's about to come and go. We've got to start looking at where we're going next as a movement. And our next stop isn't 2028 presidential race. Our next stop is the 2026 midterms. We have a window right now to decide that we, as a growing U.S. independent movement, are going to put a block of independent congressional candidates into the House in 2026. And it's not going to be just forward party candidates. It's going to include libertarians. It's going to include Green Party. It's going to include unaffiliated individuals who want to maintain that independent status. Imagine a coalition, a slate of non-two-party candidates who represent the full range of the independent movement, working together, pulling the far left and the far right and the center and everything in between and everything above that two-dimensional line, and working together, identifying key specific races, concentrating financial resources, concentrating organizing resources, telling a story that the media won't be able to not tell, because independents across the country are collaborating at unprecedented levels, and something new is coming online in this country. So do you see what that means to create a united independent movement? And I want to take the next step to be so bold for all of those who are in that room that are willing, who said yes. I'd like to invite you to come up on the stage and join me. If you raised your hand and you said, yes, I want to be a part of the Leadership Council of the United Independent Movement, I want you to come up on the stage and join me. So we had a room of 30, 40, 50 people, all representing different organizations, different entities, and every person who's coming up on the stage right now thoughtfully considered and said, this is what we as a movement are going to do next. And I am thrilled. I am exhilarated, because I believe that with the yes of these people, we will be able to galvanize the yes of all of you. And I believe that with the yes of this entire room, we'll be able to galvanize the yes of the entire U.S. independent sector. Imagine if we had a unifying campaign to bring the country of independence together and say, we are going to do this together. Imagine if we went out to the donors and we said, look, We need $100 million for the super PAC. But look what we're going to do. We're going to put a block of independents into Congress. And these independents are going to caucus together. And these independents are going to actually start to inform all of the policy in our country. Because the right or the left is going to have to appeal to them to get their vote. And that puts them in a high position of leverage and influence. What are we wanting to influence? We're wanting to influence how we improve the quality of governance in our country. Because that's the thing that unites the movement. Yes, we do have different perspectives around social, economic, and even environmental issues. And we need to process those conversations with a high quality of discourse. But what we all agree upon is we are ready to move beyond the corruption that has corrupted our country. We are ready for a high degree of transparency in our country. We are ready for firm accountability in our country. We are ready for empowered citizen participation in our country. And the Libertarians agree with that, and the Greens agree with that, and Forward agrees with that, and unaffiliated independents agree with that. So we have the common ground we need to build this movement. So what we've done is we have put in place the next steps of the equation. And we want to invite all of you to be able to step up and play a role. And are you guys all cool to just hang out as we close this thing together? Do you feel comfortable with that? You guys just want to hold it down? Let's have some fun here together? Great. Because we all know, who was it? Marianne Williamson. What was that one moment that Marianne Williamson said? Do you guys remember? She said, what's that? If you're gonna do it, you need a lot of money, right? If we need money, we need trust, right? Because trust is the thing that enables us to be able to exchange and share resources so we can do something together. I'll take this amount of zeros and commas in my bank account and I'll put it into yours so that you can do a thing that I believe should happen and that helps my money feel like it has a greater sense of purpose in the world. That's ultimately what we're talking about. I'd like to bring up the slide, please. And I want to actually invite you all to participate. I'd like to invite your partnership to help to be able to hold it down as we fundraise for the development of the United Independent Movement and activating the United Independent Coalition to put a block of independent candidates into Congress in 2026. So I want to invite you to please scan this QR code for a second. And there's a couple very specific ways that we are inviting you to participate. Way number one is we need organizers. Do you guys all agree that we need organizers, right? We need organizers. We need organizers that are willing to organize their communities, organizers that are willing to organize their states, and organizers that are willing to organize at a national scale. And so the first question that's here says, do you want to be an organizer on this national campaign? Because while we are going to pick a specific set of districts, we're going to activate organizing across the country. We're going to build a national campaign to put a block of independents in Congress. And many of you just finished working on the RFK campaign. You're all dressed up with no place to go. So we've got the next party for you, okay? So we need you and all of the recent skills you've had, and you also might come out of the Forward Party, the Green Party, you've never been an organizer, or you were an organizer back 20 years ago. We need you all now, young and old. So if you want to be an organizer, please click one of those buttons on that survey. Next, we need financial partners, okay? So we're making a direct invitation for financial partners to join this movement. And we need to raise millions of dollars. So I'm not going to come out and say, oh, I got a $25,000. No, we need to raise millions of dollars to develop the organizational infrastructure, to develop this movement, and to be able to begin building the financial capital to run these campaigns. And so if that inspires you, click one of those boxes, please. And we're raising capital in multiple different channels. And one of those channels is nonprofit think tank called Better Governance Institute. And this nonprofit is going to do the research and the assessment that's going to help us to develop this movement. Help to be able to analyze how we build the policy platform for independent candidates to run on a platform of transparent, accountable, and participatory governance. This think tank will be able to educate candidates on how to move the quality of their conversation beyond the typical talking points that they're all used to move the conversation away from the hyperpolarization topics and train them on how to run a campaign on the platform of improving governance for all. There's a fundamental transformation for how we're thinking about developing narratives that support independent candidates. We also need to arm them with the policy proposals ready to go into office and make that transformation. So if you're inspired to help us transform our republic and improve the quality of governance, please consider participating and supporting the nonprofit think tank. The second organization is our Super PAC. And this Super PAC is dedicated to putting this block of independents in Congress. And we, while the Republicans and Democrats might have to run hundreds of campaigns for Congress, we're focusing. We're picking 5 to 10, we're putting 5 to 10 million behind each of them, and we are going to make sure that we put this block of independent candidates into Congress. And if you have the capital resources to support candidates going in, please, please participate. Finally, we have membership opportunities. And if you want to step up as a reoccurring donor, as a member, as an ongoing supporter, please select that opportunity. And finally, on the last screen, you'll see an invitation for partnerships, right? What do you have to bring to the table? What's your organization? How are you creating particular value in the world, and how do you want to contribute it to the success of this campaign? So thank you so much for taking this moment to be able to plug in. We'll send this link out otherwise so that you can also get involved. And this is our moment to realize that we're not just here to have this conversation. We're not just here to dialogue and discuss and then go back home and forget what we all talked about. We're here to take the activation that we experienced at this event and immediately begin grounding it as we organize, as we assemble, as we prepare to assert our independence. Thank you so much for joining INC 24. I want to invite Deepak to come up on the stage also. Yeah. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Hi. Well, this is our moment in time to start to thank everybody, because we've really gone on a journey. I want to thank you, Kai, for the role that you've played. I want to thank you, Virginia, for everything that you've done. I want to thank you, Allie, for everything that you've brought forward. I want to thank you all. I want to thank you, Carrie Healy, for being here. I want to thank you all so much. This has been such a special convergence.
While Christopher is thanking everyone, I'd love for everyone to take a moment and thank him. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing us all together, for giving us the opportunity to not just party, but to pray and kick ass together, as Marianne called us to do. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give it up for Chris. Come on, you can be louder than that. This guy's done amazing work here. And just a quick question. How many were here at INC last year in Austin? A lot of us, right? Isn't it amazing how much it's evolved just in 1 year? Imagine what could happen with the funding that he's activating. So I just wanted to say that. Continue.
Yeah, no, I mean, right now I'm losing steam, because this is my moment to close with this like huge amount of fire like I did last time, and I'm starting to crash because I've been working around the clock for the last 100 days to be able to put this thing on with very little sleep, and I've been running this event both on stage and off stage with every single second for the last couple days. And so I guess I want to take a moment of humility to be able to say that there's a lot, I've been thanked and honored a lot even in this session, by Dennis Kucinich and by other people. And I can't do this on my own. And that's a weird thing to say because I'm not doing it on my own right now. We have an incredible team. I want to thank Charnel Setzer, who made this magic happen. I want to thank my wife, Sophia, who I wouldn't even be here without her. I want to thank Jen and the team and Sue and Dana and Jake for holding it down and
Melissa.
Everyone who's brought this whole thing forward. And I felt so supported through all of this by all of you who have gone all in to enable this to be possible. I want to thank our sponsors, Human Universal Health Institute. I want to thank our sponsors, Forward Party. I want to thank our sponsors, American Values 24. I want to thank our sponsors, Verity Metals. I want to thank our sponsors,
Dan Osborne's campaign.
All the partners.
Love Pod.
And we wouldn't have been able to do this without them. And yet, with all of that, it's still actually not enough. It's just the next step in the journey. Next year, I want all of you up on stage because of the role that you've played. And then next year, we need 1,000 more, and 10,000 more, and 100,000 more. Right? And I think I want to close by talking about the Phoenix for a quick second. When we founded INC 2020 to juxtapose the Republican and Democratic parties, we asked the question, should we have an icon for this independent movement? And very quickly, it became very clear that the Phoenix was the only thing that made sense. We've had donkeys and elephants. We also had porcupines and other things. And all these different animals have plotted themselves on this spectrum of left versus right. Right? It's this kind of like dualistic checkerboard. And when we're on that checkerboard, there's one guarantee, that everybody else is somewhere else. And if you're anywhere on that spectrum, then the system that wants to keep that hyperpolarization in place can be able to tell you who your enemy is. Oh, you're on the left, but the far left is your enemy and the right is your enemy. On the right, well, the far right and the left is your enemy. So whenever we're plotted on that left and the right, then we're separate from each other. And what that Phoenix symbolizes is that we awaken to realize that we're fundamentally independent. And we rise above the ashes of that dying system, the ashes of that dying paradigm. And we liberate ourselves to do what? To think, speak, and act for ourselves. So that Phoenix represents each of you in your journey of declaring independence and rising into the greater version of yourself that it requires you to become yourself to be. And the stars around that Phoenix symbolize what we can create when we do that together. So that is what the Phoenix symbolizes and represents. That is why we're inviting you to be able to rise with us. That is why we call this movement, and when we bring together we rise. With that.
No.
Okay.
Before that. So tomorrow morning, we're going to wake up. And when we wake up tomorrow morning, we're going to be looking in a spreadsheet. And what we're going to be looking in that spreadsheet is for all of the names of the people that filled out exactly what's at this QR code. So what I really want you to do right now, I know you've got a phone in your hand, is I want you to take out that phone, and if you're not filming, and if you don't need to be filming, because we're filming everything, we've got 18 cameras here, and I've heard a lot of you ask the question, am I going to be able to get these recordings? Oh my God, I wanted to be in 2 places at once. How could I see everything? Well, we need to go home and process all of this content, and that is going to cost us a huge amount of time, energy, attention, and money. And so if you want the recordings, I want you to take out this QR code. or take out your phone and scan the QR code and let us know, how are you going to contribute? You showed up here, you got out of bed. I heard Andrew Yang say, if you're gonna show up, you gotta show up all the way. I heard Marianne say the same thing. We've got to go all in. And that was a choice that I made just a few weeks ago, to go all in, because this event wasn't going to happen otherwise. You're welcome. You're welcome. And I just want to tell you a little story about that, because I almost walked away from the movement a few weeks ago, and maybe some of you did as well, with a heartbreak of losing a candidate that we thought was the man. And he was going to come, and he was going to save us, and he was going to bring us, and now he's gone. And what are we going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Should I just leave? Should I just move to Costa Rica? Say, forget the U.S.? But I couldn't do that because I care too much about us. And so what I said is, no, it is not time for me to leave. It is not time for me to bail. It is time for me to double, triple, and quadruple down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything I have behind making sure that this event happens, that this movement happens. But I'm only one gal. And it takes all of us. And so please, take out your phone, scan the QR code, tell us how you want to participate as an organizer, as a funder, as a partner. Let us know. And then if you do want to participate as an organizer or as a partner, give us a little bit of time to get back to you, because we're going to contact the funders first, because that's what it takes next. And then we're going to be able to pay all the people that we get to pay to be part of this movement, so that they can get on the phones and they can do what they need to do to support the movement. And so I invite you to please go all in with me. Stand next to me, shoulder to shoulder, as we're all doing here on the stage, so that we truly can do this together.
And I'm gonna take us right into another layer of detail, because we're all about vulnerability here.
Yeah.
Allie started sending wires to be able to make this event happen. And then she ran out of the ability to send wires, if you know what I mean. And she started sending credit card numbers. And we started putting one $10,000 charge after another on those credit cards.
It's true.
And we racked up a couple $100,000 worth of expenses in order to put this event on for all of us, in order to create this moment, this prayer, this ritual, this coming together, this convergence, this altar, to be able to declare our independence as a united independent movement. And it was so precious and humbling to watch her step up and offer that support. And we had a payment today, and we were out of all the credit limits. And we started asking some of you for support. And this isn't the end, because we still have all of our after-action expenses, which are substantial. And so I just want to kind of take that moment, not to say we're desperate. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that what it takes to create real change in this world is going all in. And a long time ago, I went all in, and my wife and I went all in. And
All in. And that's why I went all in, because I watched them over the past 10 years go all in again and again and again. Thank you, Isabella. Thank you.
And listen, I even said fuck it on the stage, but I'm just gonna say it now. I was so fucking impressed watching her go all in and where that came from. And so and she is going to receive for herself a deep sense of purpose
It's already happening.
and dignity, knowing that she made a choice that enabled this to happen. And she took a risk, and she wasn't gonna play it safe, and she was gonna make sure that despite the heartbreak she felt, she believed that this movement was more than just one person, and we needed this event to be able to get the word out that now is the moment in time for independence across the country to rise. And now she's complete. She's done her part to get us to this point.
I mean, I continue to be all in. But I would like to pay back the credit cards.
But to do what we need to do next, we need the next financial partners to enable this to be a reality. You might be one of them. You might be one of them. You might know one of them. I want to end where I began, talking about Marianne Williamson, and she said, in order to do this, we're going to need a lot of money. That money is available, and it's available if we have trust that we're going to do something with it that's good and right and true. And what we're going to do is put a block of independent candidates into Congress, and that's going to be the next step of transforming our country. That's what I want to do. That's what we're going to do. That's what I'd love to do together. Please talk to me if you need anything. I think you should start singing, buddy.
Yeah.